Imagine you're a teenager. Yes, you're right there. Now imagine you're incredibly sad. You're sad and lonely, and the weight of the world has made you incredibly depressed. So you put some sad music on. People like music. You like music. Sad, so you put on some sad music. Normal thing. While you're listening to your sad music and you're feeling sad, you hear a song. A popular song for sure. You've heard it a few times before while scrolling through your Instagram Reels or your TikTok, but you've never listened to it fully. As you're listening, you sit and think about the song. The song feels really sad and hopeless, and you're a sad person, so this song really resonates with you. You really like the meaning behind this song. The song is so good that you check the artist's other discography. After 3 hours of sadness and lots of crying, you feel even sadder, but somehow happy? Like you feel all the hopelessness and uneasiness that has been entirely explained by about 5 dozen songs, all averaging around 2 minutes, and you're blown away. It's like looking into a mirror of yourself. A dirt-stained mirror for sure, but hey, it still looks at you in the mirror. You can come away from this breakdown a much better, happier person, even though you're a complete sobbing mess. This artist has completely changed your view of music and life as a whole. Well, who is this life-altering artist? Well, it's Mitski Miyawaki, of course.
There's a deal that I have made. There's a deal that I have made. There's a deal that I have
So your very being has been changed irrevocably. So what? What does that matter? Who is Mitski Miyawaki? What is Mitski Miyawaki, and what does her music have to do with the overgrowing dread of becoming an adult in the 21st century? Why does every little thing you do feel like a waste of time? Well, I can at least answer a few of those questions for you. Mitski Miyawaki, born Mitski Laylock, is a Japanese-American singer-songwriter. Born 1990 to Japanese mother and American father, she studied at Southern University of New York's Purchase College Conservatory of Music and graduated with a degree in studio composition. While she was there, she released her first 2 studio albums, Lush and retired from SAD New Career in Business in 2012. The albums we're focusing on today are her first and 4th studio albums, Lush and Puberty 2, an exploration of youth, maturing, and womanhood told by a fresh new young artist. Lush is Mitski's debut studio album. She made it while she still went to Purchase College. It's a thematical journey of being a woman, seen through the eyes of a fresh new young artist who feels she must find a place in life to be deemed perfect by society. Being a young female, she believes she must stay pretty and beautiful even though that beauty will inevitably fade. Puberty 2, as the name dictates, is the second puberty Mitski feels she's going into as she matures into a functioning adult. She struggles to keep her emotions stable and tries to act older and more mature than she is. This can be seen as relatable to youth struggling with maturity. The thematical journey both these albums go through mimic the act of growing up and the responsibilities that come with it, and the pressures that society puts on teenagers, especially women, to mature faster than they otherwise might not be ready for. And then act surprised when said teenagers act like they want to be that mature, ignoring all the subliminal ways this false maturity gets pushed onto them. Chapter 2. Expecting maturity from the immature. There was no evolution, no change, no growth. While she had aged, she had not grown. As time rolls on, so does society. Whether you like it or not, you have to accept the fact of your aging body and the responsibilities that come with it. Your body ages with you, and society expects you to be mature enough to handle that concept. In that lies the exact problem: being mature. It implies that as soon as you reach the age society deems you an adult, you have to be one. But the act of adulthood is accepting more responsibilities and being vulnerable to change, the antithesis of humanity. Class of 2013 is about Mitski's own fear of becoming an adult, wishing to go back to the comforts of her mother's warmth. She fears that her wish to become a musician will not succeed, leaving her poor and too tired to pursue her dream. Quoting the song, she says, "Mom, I'll be quiet. It'll be to sleep at night, and I'll leave once I figure out how to pay for my own life too." This is a common fear of college graduates. As they struggle to find jobs, they worry about supporting themselves. In Mitski's case, she fears her mother's words of being a broke musician will come true, leaving her to run back to her mother's arms after being prideful and rebelling against her mother's wishes. In the end, she's scared of growing up and only wants her mother to wash her back as she did as a child. Let it be noted that in Japanese culture, washing someone's back is a deep sign of trust and respect, and it's normally reserved for close friends and family. "Mom, will you wash my back this once?" Adulthood is so scary and so unknown to her that instead of growing up and living her dreams, she's content to forget it all and stay with her parents while her peers move on and start their lives. And we can forget it all and leave what I'm searching for the other girls to pursue. At the end of the song, he asks two simple questions. "Mom, am I still young? Can I dream for a few months more?" This is how a lot of young adults feel about entering the workforce. They are still young and still immature, but the world expects them to know what they're doing. Wanting a job of your dreams is something an immature young child would do. And essentially, young adults are still children who must look up for the grown-up in the room to tell them what to do with their lives, because they don't know what they're doing. The song, "Because Dreaming Costs Money, My Dear," Mitski takes the role of a person whose hopes and dreams have long been gone as she needs to support herself and her dear. She chose between following her dreams and getting a job in the capitalist world, and she chose the latter. She must take care of herself and her dear, but she still regrets the choice she made and sometimes thinks of what her life could have been if she had chosen it. "I can still feel the fire, though it's long burned out." Her dear's dream is to play the violin, a career that in most cases does not have a lot of financial opportunities, but she still wishes for them to follow their dreams, something she had to give up. She knows it's what they live for, and to deprive them of that is akin to taking away their life, an agonizing and terrifying thought. She knows of that feeling and wishes not to share it with her dear, yet in a sense it's almost as if she wants to live vicariously through them and feel the smoke that still lingers in her hair. "My Body is Made of Crushed Little Stars" is a tale of knowing you're pre-positioned for more in life and wanting that, but not having the financial or otherwise means to accomplish it. It's the struggle of knowing you're at the height of your youth, yet you're stuck finding ways to put food on the table daily. "I don't know how I'm going to pay rent. I want to see the whole world." Being young and at the prime of your life opens you to the opportunity of being independent enough to travel the world, but being young enough to enjoy that, something that is impossible for some people. This tone of pessimism even follows Mitski when she does things that could theoretically make her life better, like a job interview. She says in her song, "I better ace that interview. I should tell them that I'm not afraid to die." Her mental state is deteriorated so much due to a poor financial state that she's willing to tell her possible employer that she's willing to sacrifice herself and doesn't think that's strange at all. This slow, settled tone carries to the next verse where Mitski says, "I work better under a deadline. I pick an age when I'm going to disappear. Until then, I'll try again." It's implied that this deadline is being spoken about quite literally, and she would actually kill herself at a certain time. And she's saying until that time comes, she'll try and try and try again until she has no more time left. Many people feel this way about work and financial problems. They feel like they have to put their lives on the line daily just so they can afford to survive and eat another day. Not only that, but mentioned in the song, the name refers to the singer's belief that she and the other people are made of stardust. Stars, most commonly, represent something otherworldly and special, but within the context of the song, Mitski says, "My body's made of crushed little stars and I'm not doing anything." She believes she has the ability to be special, but she's not using it. She exists in a state of two extremes, wanting to exist as a perfected version of herself and not wanting to exist at all. In her eyes, the only thing she can do to fix her flawed life is to be killed in the same way by Jerusalem, the birthplace of Jesus. It's the perfect combination of her goals. She likens herself to Jesus, and yet she wants to die by his hands. Circle back on that. Working for the night is Mitski's realization that she's getting older, and so is the world. All the dreams she had as an adolescent have passed, and all that's left now are her and her regrets. I always knew the world moved on, I just didn't know it would go without me. Her youthful naivete has led her to believe that the world and capitalism would stop for her and her mistakes, which as she gets older realizes was never the case. Late-stage capitalism has left her worn out and tired. She works for a system, or a knife, that won't stop or give her a break. It won't even let her make the youthful mistakes she did at 20. It keeps her living, working, and even dying under it, yet she doesn't blame it. I cry at the start of every movie because I wish I was making things too. When she was young, she had expectations of creating things and telling her stories to the world. But nobody cares for the stories I told. Meaning there was nothing monetary to be gained from her dreams. And with capitalism, if there's nothing financial that can be gained, it might as well not exist. Mitski was in her junior year of college when she started releasing music, yet she acted like a child. She feared the path she was making was the wrong one and felt small compared to the life she had to make. Even as she grew older, the path that brought her the most fulfillment was still unclear. She worried that she'd make this mistake, but unlike before, she'd have no parent to help fix it for her. This is something most teenagers and young adults can relate to, learning how to be a mature adult. You must figure out your life immediately, and that's stressful and complicated, yet everyone around you expects you to do it. For some people, it's too much pressure and they crack, resorting to harmful methods like age regression, parties, and substances. They act immature to avoid the fact that age will eventually catch up to them. Like Peter Pan and his eternally lost young boys. After we hit a certain age, our only wish is to go back to the time that we didn't know how harsh growing up was, wishing to stay in an eternal immaturity. The worst thing you can call a girl is a girl. The worst thing you can call a guy is a girl. Being a woman is the ultimate insult. Jessica Valenti, full frontal feminism. Music is affected by gender in multiple ways, from the sexual imagery of women in music videos and the way gender are depicted in lyrics, to the fact that the people making the music hold certain gender, or lack thereof, and hold a certain gender viewpoint. As Desmond C. Sargent and Bungalow Shamandi say in their essay, Gender and Music Composition, a study of music and the gender of meaning, in the case of music, the sounds of the composer's musical gestures are signifiers. They are symbolic representations of his and her experiences, and the listener must recognize the symbols in order to recover the same experiences. Real Men is Mitski's open letter to her disdain for the toxic standards of men and masculinity. It depicts Mitski's disgust with the expectations men put on women, and in the song she says, "All you want to do is see me get naked in front of you, so you can look at me up and down and tell me, 'Well done, girl, you're looking so good.'" She mocks the fact that men only see her for her body by playing into the role that they've given her. She points out that women are objectified and treated like toys. Little boys see toys and say, "I can take that. Oh, you are my little boy." She calls the men around her like little boys because that's how they act. Peter Pan syndrome is defined as the unwillingness to grow up and being socially inept when it comes to relationships. Mitski likens the way men treat females to how boys play with toys, aggressively and cruel, but easily thrown away if it gets too hard to manage. Also included in the song is the critiquing of the impossible toxic masculinity men uphold themselves. And real men don't eat because they're above it, damn it. And real men don't flinch or bleed in public. This just shows the impossible way men view traditional masculinity and the need to live up to an implausible standard. Things that are simply human nature, like eating, flinching, and bleeding, or things that show how connected you are to your emotions, like relying on others or even crying, are demonized and disregarded as things only fake men could do. Even though she hates the way this mindset has affected the men around her, she can't help but want to conform to it. Throughout the song, she repeatedly says that she, a woman, wishes to be a real man, something that even the men around her couldn't be. Oh, I'm gonna be a real man. I want to be a real man. I think I'm a real man. She knows this is a hypocrisy to what she hates, but she can't help but want to do it anyway. Eric feels like the tale of a housewife in a marriage whose love is long gone. The only thing left are the roles she and her significant other plays. Lyrics like, "I'll let you hurt me however you choose," and "as you smile at my trembling shoulders," give the feeling that the relationship they're in is toxic and painful. The housewife seems to be in a relationship they know is painful and hurting them, but they forgive their significant other anyway because they love them. In her words, "I'm tired of not loving you, but my heart wants to hold you." She knows that they are not in love, or her partner doesn't love her, but she wishes they would be. She is aware that her partner is only in the relationship for her body, but deludes herself into thinking that they love her back through minor acts like fixing her, and is ready to give her whole to them even when her partner can't even find it in themselves to give a small part of themselves. This song mirrors the way many young women find themselves when entering a relationship that is purely one-sided and physical. Someone is only in the relationship because of the sexual relief it brings. What both parties want in the relationship are completely different, which oftentimes leads to a loveless or abusive relationship. A lot of young girls excuse their partner's actions towards them away with all the little things that their partner might do, but simply because they did it to them, refusing to see the bigger picture of a failing relationship because accepting that their partner might not love them is harder than accepting that the abuse they face while with them. Wife tells the story of a woman who wishes to be a traditional housewife, someone whose life's purpose is to please her husband and bear him a son. After finding out she cannot bear her husband a son, she questions her life because, in her words, "If I am not yours, what am I?" She deems her self-worth and how she can provide for her husband, and if she cannot bear him any children, she has nothing to provide. Everything she has and has been taught is her husband. Her house, her name, and her life all belong to him. The one thing she had hoped that could finally be hers to claim, her son, and her morning star, which in this case can refer to her husband's love, has been stripped away from her, leaving her only with a dream of what she could have had. Many women feel the same as the narrator in the song. They feel that their only worth is the child they can give their husband, and without it, their husband's love will disappear. It's all society has taught them. Traditional women are expected to get married early, have kids, and then sit around until they take their last breath. Let us not forget it's been a little over 100 years since women can legally vote. In most cases, women don't even keep their surnames when getting married, erasing proof that they are a person outside of their husbands. Womanhood and femininity as a whole has always been treated lesser than by men and society. Things like male flight, the gender pay gap, and the hatred of teen girls are just some examples of the many ways women and their experiences are treated as trivial by society. It's not uncommon to see women treated as objects by the media we consume. In music specifically, women are objectified and seen as objects to be desired, with little thought or meaning given them past that. Mitski's songs Real Men and Liquid Smooth identify and condemn this treatment of femininity, while also desperately trying to conform to society's standards of women. These songs act as antitheses to each other. Real Men is Mitski critiquing the toxic masculinity and objectification of females, things created by the patriarchy, while Liquid Smooth contrasts this with Mitski's need to be young and beautiful to fulfill the role society has deemed for her. Songs like Eric and Wife look at the traditional housewife's life at its worst. Eric sees a woman in a toxic relationship that she knows is imploding in on herself, trying and failing to use any excuse possible to find love and affection in her partner's actions. Wife sees a wife who's deemed her only worth in life to be a childbearer, lost when the one thing she was confident could secure her husband's love was taken from her. Both songs put women in a position where they're unsure of their partner's love and the role of the women in the relationship. Just as we change and grow older, so does the music we listen to, and so does the person behind them. They are human just like we are, and their life experiences affect their work just as much as our lifestyle affects ours. Lots of Mitski's music was made in her early 20s, when she was just starting her adult life. They reflected in her music when she talks about her crisis with aging and growing up. Interestingly, her more recent songs reflect those choices she made as an adult now that she's crossed the 30 years of living. Her music reflects her inner psyche just as much as art affected her life. It's the same for any other person. We use the things around us to mirror ourselves and in turn develop as people, using the world around us. We all feel the same emotions, whether you're a sad teenager going through your favorite phase or an adult driving to work.
Something's happened to you, and we can't ignore that.
As I've finally become the person I've always wanted to be. Do we have to ask why?
Yeah, I think we do.